Hello everyone, watch this review here where they look at the original Spock, not the impersonator, from Playmate's 4-inch Star Trek line for the new movie. I was in a dollar store the other day, found this on the shelf. At first I thought it was just a sort of cheap dollar store equivalent to the figures from the line, but recently I stopped into Walmart. I was down their clearance section, and for some reason they still had some stuff from this movie, and this is the exact same thing that went to normal retail, except for if you bought it from those other stores, you would have paid $6 or more. Or if you stopped in a dollar store, only $1. I don't know which is the better deal, but I'm gonna have to guess it's the dollar store. So yeah, it does sort of pay to stop into those kind of really cheap stores every once in a while. But where was I? Alright, the only other two that they had in store there were Spock, which I thought looked horrible. I mean, if you look at that little dome hair, pretty crappy, and I believe also Kirk. I mean, just looking at the back of the package, you can sort of see why I thought this was just a cheap knockoff rather than, well, not knockoff because it's officially sanctioned merchandise, but rather than, the real line they released, because it's got a generic card back with Kirk in the front there, and, no real identifying elements. But each of these comes with a part to build the transporter room, takes 14 in all. I'm not going to do that. Probably not, because again, most of these figures do look like crap, and paying more than $1 for these, probably not worth it. But hold on a second and I'll get this pack. Original Spock comes with T4 from the transporter room. I don't know if it's the actual T4 or just part 4. If you look at it, just a cheap piece of translucent plastic with paint on the top portion. Not so much on the side. If they had done this in silver or whatever it normally is, would have been nicer. Inside portion, of course, doesn't actually matter because you won't see that. As for original Spock himself, he comes with, this little hand replacement because his hand is in the live long and prosper sign. The counterpoint to the live, die young, and I don't know what the counterpoint to prosper would be. I'd say poverty, but prosper is such a broad word. But yeah, I guess it was the future equivalent of the peace sign. Let me quickly toss that out. Very soft, rubbery hands on this guy. Don't usually comment on the guy's hands, but I'm tossing it out there. I guess it's just because they used a cheaper plastic for that part, and I don't know, I guess the other ones are a bit nicer. Although it's got a soft, rubbery texture, which I guess sort of supposed to mimic the clothing or whatever. I don't know, kind of interesting. If you look at the figure, virtually no paint detail. It's just like solid molded plastic. I mean, it's not like a terrible sculpt or anything on the clothing here, which I guess is probably just an extra piece tossed over the torso. As for the head sculpt itself, he's called the original Spock because this is, well, two reasons. The first being that this is Leonard Nimoy, who originally played Spock. The second I can't reveal without spoiling part of the movie, but it's an irrelevant part of the movie, so if you want to know it, here it is. If you don't, mute it for a second. But this is the Spock from the original timeline before Nero went back in time with his mining thing and then started blowing stuff up. So yeah, he's kind of from the future, kind of from another timeline. Either way, shouldn't really be there. But neither should Nero, so works out. Now, in terms of articulation, this is probably the real downside to the line. Well, I guess it's not like terrible or anything, but we have a point of rotation here at the wrist, a ball and socket elbow, ball jointed shoulder, head rotates only. You'll notice it's on a joint there. No move. Well, you do kind of have waist movement, but because it's beneath this whole long ass trench coat thing, because future trench coats, it's cool to wear half your trench coat out for cultural reasons. Don't ask, I'm not a future man, can't tell you. But he has hinged joints at the legs, which is one of the reasons I never really got into this line. And then ball and socket here at the knee. Other reason to get into this line is I didn't really care for the movie all that much. I mean, I thought it was okay, but nothing spectacular. It does not have any movement here at the ankle, which also is a downside, especially because this character needs the stand he comes with to sort of stay up on most surfaces. So, I mean, there's really no way to spread out the legs or anything, which sounds kind of weird, but that's kind of what you're doing just to get figures to stand, but the stance just isn't wide enough to kind of support him on a lot of surfaces. Like, for instance, if you're going to toss him on his base here, it's going to start falling over unless you really try to find the center of balance here, which... There we go. I mean, it's kind of a struggle, and... Well, he's sort of falling. There it goes. Slight bump would knock it over. But thankfully, the stand is designed to sort of fit right into the pod there, although it sticks out pretty noticeably. So, I mean, you could just use that on the transporter if you wanted to. Otherwise, there's nothing on the transporter to actually help him stand up. All in all, I mean, definitely sort of lackluster figure. I mean, the face sculpt, the head sculpt here and the face and everything is a lot better than some of the other ones in the line. Especially the really terrible other version of Spock where the hair just looks really, really phony. I probably won't be picking up a ton of these. Probably not. I don't know. Mostly because I won't be able to find them really, really cheap, and also because I don't really care about this that much. Just thought it'd be a kind of cool thing to pick up. I guess the T1 actually does refer to the transporter number. Possibly not the other stuff. It's hard to tell from this. But yeah, this has been a look at the original Spock. Until next time, folks.